Hello, grade 6 students. Now we're moving to chapter 2, Friends and Enemies. Our objectives, we're going to skim and scan for information, make connections and predictions, identify cause and effect, justify our answers by giving evidence. In chapter 2, from the title, what can we tell? Friends and enemies. Who are David's friends and who are his enemies? To define that, you're going to answer these questions. Who were David's new friends? What was unusual about their house? And how did David enjoy his time there? What about his enemies? Find out answers for these questions. What were the changes in the house? How did these changes affect David's life? And is Miss Jane Murdiston staying with them? Let's start reading and highlighting the important parts and find out.
Hello everyone! In chapter 2, Friends and Enemies, we reached the point when David was going to spend 2 weeks with his maid Piggy at her brother's house in Yarmouth. On page 12, we are going to highlight the lines that show the characters in that house and how the house looks like. On page 14, we're still highlighting what David used to do and how he spent his time at Yarmouth. He enjoyed, as it's shown here, playing with little Emily and staying in the strange boat. That leads us to page 15 at the end of the first paragraph, when David expresses his sadness to leave Yarmouth, and it's a great evidence that he enjoyed his staying there. On page 15, we have very important points we are going to highlight. The changes that David found when he returned home from Yarmouth. Can you see that? David's life has changed. The first change, when David found a new servant standing at the gate, not his mother. The second change, when Piggy told David that he has got a new father. Who is that person? Can you guess that? Of course, you guessed right. It's Mr. Edward Murdiston, the dark-haired man that David hated from the very beginning. Whenever Clara did something with David or acted in a certain way with David, Mr. Murdiston frowned. That shows us how domineering Mr. Murdiston is. He wanted to control everybody in the house. He interferes in the relationship between Clara and her son. How would that affect David? We will see. On page 16, we have more changes in the house, like the new room and the new dog in the garden. In the middle of the same page, we can see that Charles Dickens focused on the society treatment of women and how Clara was pushed by her community to remarry and have a man to support her. She blamed Piggy for pushing her to do that, and the result is that her son is sad. Here we have another evidence on Mr. Murdiston being a domineering person. At the bottom of the page, we are given more evidence on the domineering character of Mr. Murdiston, as he commented firmly on Piggy's mistake. He also spoke to David firmly on page 17 and threatened to beat him like a horse or a dog if he didn't obey him. The second half of page 17, we are introduced to the other domineering and controlling character in the novel, Miss Jane Murdiston, Mr. Murdiston's sister. Once she came to the house, she asked Clara for the keys of every room and cupboard in the house to take control of everything in the house. She accused Clara of being impractical and lacking the experience to manage the house, which hurt Clara a lot, but she couldn't disagree with her or her brother because of her weak character.